I'm tired of retreating. All that want sounds to me so obnoxious. All that want sounds to me so obnoxious.
Hey.
Me on.
Hey, my bad.
I'm tired of retreating.
No.
All that want sounds to me so obnoxious.
Boy, you played yourself with your nonsense. I don't know what you're saying, though.
Say what?
Would I go? I don't know what you're saying, though.
Say what?
Would I go? All that want sounds to me so obnoxious.
Boy, you played yourself with your nonsense.
No, this is kind of sus. Maybe for the next video though. Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to the third week in a row of reviewing very interesting cameras. If you haven't caught any of the last two videos, you can click on the little flag up here to watch the other two. I highly recommend it. We've been on a good streak. So yeah, like what you saw in the title right here, we are going to be reviewing the Panon Widelux F7. And some of you might be thinking this is just a glorified film camera that does iPhone panoramic cameras. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you, but what I will say though is that if you are an XPan owner or if you are interested in buying one, I would actually go for this. And me being a TX1 owner, I kind of want to own it too. So when it comes to using this camera, there isn't really much that you have to think about. In fact, if you ask more than 2 questions, you're thinking too much. The Widelux at its very core is a panoramic point and shoot. This camera is very simple and straightforward in its design, which could be a good thing for some or a bad thing for others. There's 3 shutter speeds that you can only use, 1/250th, 1/25th, and 15th of a second. And you can set your aperture through the dial up top by grabbing that little tiny knob or stud and spinning it around until you line up the aperture number with the red dot on the bottom left corner. You have a shutter dial up top, but there is no way that you could screw in a cable release, which kind of sucks. You can twist the shutter lock to the left to lock up your camera and prevent an accidental exposure. And this is what it looks like through the viewfinder. It shows you a nice preview of what the panoramic photo is going to look like with the distortion, but there is no rangefinder patch because this is not a rangefinder camera. It'd be nice to like see someone like stand right here and then someone walk through where the light is. So this will fish for that. I've never done street photography in a grocery store before, so I'm just trying to be as sly as possible. So how does the Widelux hold up in street photography? Leave a comment down below on what you think, and here are a couple more images that I took on the streets. Alright everybody, let's get into the tutorial of how to load up the Widelux. So you're going to start off by turning that back dial to the unlock position so you can pop off the entire back plate and you're ready to get started. This is a really weird camera to load up, so go ahead and take your time. Start off by lifting the rewind knob on the top left corner and you can insert your roll of film after you lift it up and then put it back down once the fork fits in between the roll. And then once that's snug and secure, go ahead and grab the film leader and slip it right underneath the first roller right through the middle and push it through the middle of the second roller. I just want to put some emphasis that you need to put the leader through the middle of the second leader, because if those sprocket holes get caught on the sprockets, you can't pull your film anymore. And this next part is going to be a little bit difficult. With your film leader in control, you're going to wind your advanced knob until you see a tiny little stud on the take-up spool. When you see that knob, there's going to be 2 slits and you're going to insert your film leader into the bottom slit. It's really annoying and almost impossible to get it on your first try, so just take your time and make sure that it does slip right in there, and you could just tuck it in as much as you can. And then once you know that film leader is in there, you could line up the sprocket holes now with the gears, and then you could start turning your advance knob slowly until you see that your camera has caught onto the film. You might have to press the shutter a couple times so that you can still turn the knob if you're not too confident, but once you are, close up the back plate, turn the knob to lock, and then continue to turn the advance knob until you see the number 1 on the film counter, and then you're ready to play ball.
Wish I could be there with you. Oh wow, time just keeps on slipping out my hands. I'm wishing I could hold you, bring you closer. I don't wanna feel so lonely. Home is just a moment away. Take a drive down 141, father and son, thumbing through cash like rum-pa-pum-pum. Hear the sounds of our city marching to their own drums. I don't need your approval, I'm proud where I'm from. Dreams are the very foundation of love. Love is the only foundation we'll fund. Funny how they say, ain't God do we trust. When we challenge their views, they're like, God, but you must. I don't mess around with the probably nots. Trying to put my culture in these novelty shops. Waiting for the day when the novelty stops. Then you'll treat us like humans, that's comedy. Wish stop. I could be there with you. Oh wow, time just keeps on slipping out my hand. I'm wishing I could hold.
Splendid frame.
That'll do it.
Splendid frame. Where are you going? Where are you going?
I don't want to be in it.
Alright, let's get into a quick comparison of the XPan and the Widelux. The first thing that you'll probably notice is the distortion. The XPan gives you that rectilinear image, or that wide angle field of view that doesn't bend or bow lines. Some or most would probably call that look very cinematic because of the wide aspect ratio, and it does look like a still from a movie. I've spoken to some other XPan owners and almost all of them have expressed this feeling of wanting a wider field of view or a wider look, but the price tag to achieve such a look is literally like buying another XPan because that 30mm lens is $5,000. The Widelux, although not rectilinear, gives you that extremely wide panoramic feel. One special thing to note is that there is no vignetting like the XPan, which also costs $500 to remedy on that camera. And the reason that we're getting corner-to-corner sharpness without any vignetting is because of the way this camera takes a photo. You're only getting the center of the lens and the image that comes through that. And we all know that the center gives you the best quality of the lens, so imagine getting that best quality swung around from edge to edge of the frame and exposing and giving us a really great photograph. Hey Rolf, what are you shooting? Oh
no, you caught me.
Oh. What people love in photos is dramatics. Wide-angle portraits and bokeh'd out backgrounds is what captures people's eyes. The XPan look is so great because of that wide cinematic look. The Widelux doesn't exactly give you that look all the time, but it does have that dramatic aspect ratio combined with that turret distortion. And yes, you do have way less control with the Widelux, and it is a pain in the ass to load that thing. But there's something I love about this camera over the XPan/TX1, but it could just be the fact that I've owned the TX1 for a bit and I'm taking it for granted. That camera, after all, has given me a really incredible opportunity that I will be sharing with you guys in a few months. So let's talk about some quirks about this camera, or some not so good things, depending on your perspective. The number one quirk being the viewfinder. Because this is not a rangefinder camera, you're not focusing anything. There's no frame lines that are showing you what's actually being photographed. So everything is just off to the left because the viewfinder is off to the left from this lens. You just have this nice window which shows you a pretty nice preview of what the Widelux can get, but it's off to the left. Why not just put it right above it like a regular point and shoot? At this point, right, like I'm a right eye focuser. It's not like my nose is like completely clearing the camera. If my nose is gonna bump into the camera anyways, might as well just put it in the middle so I'm getting the actual perspective of what's being photographed. And kind of sort of building off of that point, because this lens captures almost 180-degree field of view, if your fingers are where these, I guess, guidelines are, your finger will actually show up in the photos, which is pretty wild and insane. Have your hand up here and have your hand down here and you should be good. I guess you can hold it like a regular camera, but try to keep your fingers out of the frame line. So this next thing is actually quite important for the safety of the camera, and that is about changing the shutter speed. So most of the times you can change the shutter speed whenever you want on most cameras, but for this one, you have to make sure that the camera is fully cocked. So if you ever change that shutter speed before you cock the camera and advance that knob, essentially, I heard it's not so good for the camera, and you know, a few episodes of that won't break it, but if you do it too many times, then you know, you might be like crapping out on your Widelux. And the last thing, which I feel doesn't need to be said, is don't touch the lens. Don't reach inside the turret and let the curiosity of your mind get the better of you. Just leave it alone, because if anything gets in there, if dust or your junk gets in there, like, oh, your junk. Basically, if anything is going to be obstructing the operation of this turret lens, it's going to lead to this weird jamming banding problem that happens on strips of film when the turret can't do its smooth movement, because it's going to be unevenly exposing your film. So try to keep it dust free, try to keep it junk free, and use your rocket blower or like a can of compressed air to clear out that area so that dust doesn't jam up this stuff. All right, y'all, thank you guys so much for watching this photographically and informationally dense YouTube video reviewing the Panon Widelux F7. If you want, subscribe down below for more great quality videos such as this one, and like, comment, all that jazz. I think I just said that. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. But I'm out of here. Gotta make that next video. See you guys in a bit. Peace.